today we're going to talk about expectations versus reality when you move to the Dominican Republic. And we'll start off talking about cost of living. Gentlemen.
As far as what surprised me, electronics, televisions, computers, phones.
Yes.
You would figure they would be cheaper than America, but I was surprised to find out you're going to pay more here. But if you want a big TV, you're going to have to pay for it. You can get a nice 65-inch for what, 700 in the States, it's going to cost you $9 here. But that's the main difference, it's electronics. The food, you can get on the street real cheap. Rent, according to how your lifestyle, you want your lifestyle, you can vary that. But electronics is what surprises me. Food, I think, is very cheap here, naturally.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said, Brother Skip. In general, there are things that are less expensive, such as your food, okay? Such as rent comparable to what you could possibly get in the United States, depending on the area, obviously. But then again, there are a lot of surprises, especially when you're planning or dreaming, hey, I want to live in the Caribbean one day. You don't really think about too much like the electronics. Furniture is another one. I mean, furniture here is extremely expensive compared to what you can get, and the quality is not very good. So you're constantly having to replace things like furniture, or you're going to really have to come out of pocket more so than you maybe expect to in the United States. For that also.
I have a somewhat different perspective.
Okay.
And my perspective is that labor is cheap, very cheap here, and that has a value to it. Also, I think rent is cheaper than where I come from. I mean, I'm used to DC and New York, and the apartment I have here would cost 4 or 5 times as much in DC, and maybe 6 times as much in New York.
Correct.
So those two things, yes. But anything that's imported here is going to cost more than it will cost in the States for 2 reasons. One, they probably pay more for it than you would pay if you went to someplace like Walmart, like a big TV or something.
Right.
And secondly, by the time they slap that ITBIS on it, that tax at 18%, if it comes from out of the country, it's going to cost more.
Yes.
Sometimes a lot more. Same is true with food.
Yes.
If the food is produced here, it's going to be cheaper, a lot cheaper. If it's imported, it's going to be more expensive. Second subject we're going to talk about is relationships with Dominican people. We had certain expectations when we moved here. How have those expectations been met, or has there been disappointment?
For me, let me go first. You want to go?
No, you can go first, sir.
For me, I have a good relationship. I think the people are caring. I think they're family orientated. I don't really associate with a lot of Dominican dudes, mostly Dominican females and families, but I don't associate with Dominican dudes on a friendship basis. I kind of keep it private. So I've limited my interaction, and I still think you gotta guard yourself. You gotta protect yourself. You gotta be careful what you do. You just can't let yourself go and think everything's happy. You gotta have a wisdom about your awareness, and that's what I have, and it's got me good so far. I don't just trust anybody, but I think Dominicans are good people, yes.
You've been living here how long?
I've been living here about 4 years, but I've been coming 10 since 2016, more than 10. But I've been coming back on vacation when I worked. I retired in 2017, and then I moved here, Boca Chica and Wandodale, and now I'm here in Santo Domingo. I lived in Sosúa for a few months before, but mostly here in Santo Domingo.
Okay. For me, my interactions have been very various. I mean, have a whole variety of different interactions amongst myself and Dominicans. The locals, as they say, right? So, I've been blessed in a lot of ways that, just like back home, I've had a vast experience with different types of people back home. I've had that experience for the most part here also, where, I can say, lowest barrio people, you gotta either watch out or that kind of things, or all the way up to right now, a lot of times living in the upper echelon type things where you still got to watch out for people, but in another way. So you see the good people in the barrios and the lowest, and you see the bad people there, and you get to learn how the interactions go with those, situations, and then also the higher people, because there's still pitfalls and traps in any type of social circle that you're within that you need to make sure that you're taking care of and securing yourself. So overall, I don't try to separate a lot of things from my interactions and experiences back home, because those are my foundation and they guided me well back home. In a lot of cases here, they're going to be the same type of instincts that'll guide you well and keep you out of situations. If it don't look good, it's not. It's same type of things that you learn growing up back home in a lot of same cases. It just might change the face of what you need to look out for. So, overall, my experience though have been positive. I wouldn't have been here so long if they've been just so negative and so, detrimental or whatever. But no, I love it here. I love the people. I understand the people. Got to kind of get into their mindset a lot of times to make sure that you understand what is actually taking place around you, learning the language, learning culture, that kind of thing. So I give my experience, overall, like I say, positive.
Yeah, I really can't add much to that. I would just underline what Skip says about, and also what Amari says about, you have to be careful. You have to watch your back frequently, because many times when Dominicans find out that you're American, then you become sort of a mark for them to take advantage of. But that's not most people. Most people are really warm, very friendly. They love life, they enjoy life, despite the fact they don't have a lot of material wealth. And that's really refreshing, because in America it's kind of the opposite. They have a lot of material wealth, but they're suspicious of each other and just unhappy. So in terms of interacting with the people, my expectations have been met, if not exceeded. And not just the women, the men, everybody really.
Recuerda suscribirte en el canal de WDRC en Santo Domingo. Ya tú sabes.